What's up, y'all? What's going on? It's the Bronco gentleman. Yes, it is me. It is me in the flesh. Long time no see since the game day shows that occurred during the season. But we are back, and this time the Orange and Blue Blitz show will be a mile high morning show. So that is what we are here for, guys. I am back. I am glad to be back and here to talk about week 2 of the OTAs and what's been going on in Broncos country. We got a lot to catch up on, guys. I've missed you. I've missed you all. So much to talk about since I've been gone. Pastor Tan has won Defensive Player of the Year, obviously. We've signed Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, drafted Jardine Barron, drafted RJ Harvey, drafted Pat Bryant. So much to talk about, so much to catch up on. And really, what are the expectations for week 2 of the OTAs and what players are we most excited to see? Guys, I'm so glad to be back. This is going to be the Orange and Blue Blitz morning show, guys. Let's go. Woo! That's how long it's been. You guys see some. We definitely working on updating that. But guys, welcome back to the Orange and Blue Blitz morning / I guess afternoon show. Where I'm at, it's the afternoon. Where you're at, it may be in the morning. Where others are at, it may be later on in the afternoon. And to our international viewers, it could be nighttime. But anyway, welcome to the Orange and Blue Blitz show. This is the week 2 expectations for OTAs. We've already had week 1 behind us. We have beaten that with a dead horse. Obviously, we're going to beat a little bit more today, and then we're going to go on to week 2 because we know tomorrow is media day, and that's when we're going to get the press conferences. That's when we're going to get all the questions, the burning questions that we have answered, and that's where we're also going to get some information that we don't have, and we're also going to get the videos and clips that we so desire. So that's going to be exciting. But before we get to that, guys, go ahead and if like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share this with your friends and family. If you're here from MHRT, go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook. And if you're here from Orange and Blue, go ahead over to MHRT and subscribe to their channel on YouTube. Follow them on Facebook or Twitch. Like and comment on their videos as well. Because you guys, that's what drives the channel, and that's what drives content is you guys, and that's what we are here for. But so much has gone on since the last time I seen you guys. What's up, Dak? My boy Dak. Love Dak. Dak's birthday just passed, so we wish Dak a happy birthday. Let's wish him another happy late birthday. Yeah, so much has gone on. Pastor 10 won Defensive Player of the Year, obviously. And for whatever reason, PFF decided to be disrespectful and not include him as the #1 cornerback in the NFL. He's the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. So there's an agenda going on there. Whatever that is, we're here to go ahead and blow that in the water. So you know what? Let him talk. Let him hate. We don't pay for PFF anymore at the Orange and Blue Network. We did. Johnny and I both did. And then over time, we just decided, you know what? We're not going to send our money there because although the NFL uses them, their metrics are either off or they just don't know ball. They don't watch film. There's another graphic that they posted the other day, which was the best defensive line duos. And it had Jonathan Franklin-Meyer on the Jets with Quentin Williams, and it had Javon Hargrave, and I think Jonathan Allen's still on the Commanders when I believe they're on the Vikings. So clearly they don't know ball. But they want to disrespect Pat Surtain, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, but it doesn't matter because he has that trophy. And he has that tick on his resume. He can check that box off. So it doesn't matter what they say. We know what it is, and we know who he is. And we're glad to have him, and we love him. Regardless of what PFF says, we know who the number one cornerback in the league is. So in addition to Pat Surtain winning Defensive Player of the Year, then we fast forward to free agency. And in free agency, we had holes that we needed to fill. Coming off a stellar 10-7 year, playoff berth for the first time in 9 years with a rookie quarterback with the largest dead cap in NFL history. And we go to the playoffs. Now, we get our butts kicked in the playoffs, but we see what we needed. We held on to the first half. And because of that, I have my bones to pick with Will Lutz. Because that, and I see why the special teams, why Sean Payton redid the special teams. Because now that I think about it, that's twice that season that when we played a really good playoff team, that we were with them at the first half. And at the end of the first half, Bo Nix does a great 2-minute drive, and Will Lutz misses the kick. That happened with Baltimore, and that happened with Buffalo, and it completely blew away the momentum. So I got my bones to pick with that, and I think that's something to watch out for, because with Baltimore, we had momentum going to the half. Bo Nix led an excellent 2-minute drive. Will Lutz misses the kick. The same thing in the Buffalo playoff game. Bo Nix gets the ball back. Defense does an excellent job. 2-minute drive. He does exactly what he's supposed to do. Will Lutz misses the kick. Momentum goes away. We still try to hold on, and there were still some holes in the defense that needed to be fixed, like that P.J. Locke safety. That touchdown against Buffalo wasn't really P.J.'s fault. He was right there next to him. But, Sean Payton in the offseason said we need an upgraded safety. And so we got Talanoa Hufanga from the San Francisco 49ers. 2022, we know he was a first-team All-Pro. Excellent, strong safety. He gets injured. He has to battle injuries the last couple of years, but now we're expecting with him and Bo Lowry, he's going to be healthy. He's been there at all training camps, all practices. Also, guys, real quick, I also want to show off this hat, this dope hat. It was a birthday gift from the Mile High Viking to me. It was actually his hat, and he bought it for himself. And I saw it, and I was like, Johnny, that hat belongs to me now. And he was like, I knew you were going to say that, but he gave it to me as a gift. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, Talanoa Hufanga's been at every practice. At OTAs, he looks healthy. He looks good. He brings a different which is in the backside, and is important in the middle of the field, is that he's an excellent communicator. But as well as we did the inside linebacker position field. So Alex Singleton had a torn ACL. Justice Sternad stepped up, did a really good job stepping up. We finally got to see what he looked like after years of playing special teams. And he's gotten better and better. And that's kind of the same thing we're hoping to see with Drew Sanders, is we're trying to see, can Drew Sanders take the Justin Sternad path or the Alex Singleton? Because if you notice, Sternad, Barton, Singleton, Sanders, all are the special teams, the linebacker pipeline. So they start off as special teams, and then they get put in that position. Zach Bond with the Eagles, the same way. So there's a definite special teams to inside linebacker pipeline that's been happening. But last year, that came ahead when Alex Singleton got hurt. We brought in a bunch of linebackers, Quan Alexander, Zach Cunningham, and all these different linebackers. And eventually we signed an excellent signing from the San Francisco 49ers, Dre Greenlaw, coming off an injury. He had some tightness from his Achilles. Johnny, just talking about your hat, buddy, that you gifted me. Coming off, he had some calf tightness coming off that Achilles injury. And then he had that quad injury during offseason training camp. So there's a little bit of worry, as there should be, of Dre Greenlaw's health. And then on the offensive side of the ball, we got Evan Ingram. I remember we talked about him a lot during the season when we said we needed a tight end. And then the second he came available, the Broncos were all over it. And it's either the George Payton knew he was going to be released, or he came on the market and they knew and jumped on it immediately. But then you had this battle with the Chargers. And just from a play style standpoint, Sean Payton made much more sense than Jim Harbaugh. Just much more sense. I think either Ingram was going to be a full-time receiver with the Chargers or he was going to have his hand in the dirt. And so he comes with us, so that fills a hole. But he also has some injury issues, but he's been out there, and he's similar to Talanoa Hufanga. They're 2 out of the 3 guys we signed in free agency are now training from the beginning with the team, lifting and conditioning, and are healthy. So while we're talking about health, what's the news? I joined late. Oh, no news, bud. Just that I'm back. Oh, the news is that Orange and Blue Blitz is the morning show now. It's the morning/afternoon show. So the Orange and Blue Blitz will be the morning and afternoon show. Unfortunately, I work on Tuesdays. So the days that we do have the show, the rest of the week, I'm actually working. So I'm not able to pod or stream anymore. And I miss talking to you guys. I miss hearing from all of you guys. I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can contribute anyway. Because I felt like a guest on my own network. And I really was. And that wasn't anyone's fault. It was just because, I'm working. So I said, you know what? How about a morning show? Because I love listening to pods in the morning. I think other people would too. And it gives me the opportunity to talk to you guys and listen to you guys. That's one thing. I think, you know what? I think, Rob, this is going to be a topic for another morning show. There's going to be a show of, I think one show is going to be what jerseys are we going to get as a whole network, everybody in the Orange and Blue crew, and what games are we going to? Because I've got some games that I've got circled on the calendar, some away games. And also I want to see which jerseys am I going to wear. So, it's time to get the Bronco gentlemen, together. It's not just going to be the suit and tie. But Sean Payton has definitely inspired me to get my Jordan game up. So I'm definitely going to do that. And it's going to go hand in hand with the jersey. So it's definitely going to be a show is what jerseys are we going to wear, what jerseys we're going to get, and also what games we're going to go into. But it's good to be back. So, yeah, we got Evan Ingram. We filled that. So, as I was saying, with health positions. So, Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, and Evan Ingram were 3 offseason acquisitions, big offseason acquisitions that we got in free agency. 2 out of the 3 have been practicing from the beginning. That's good. So, everybody's worried about health. We're worried about staying healthy during the season. That's good. I think one of the reasons why Sean Payton has helped the Broncos be healthier the last couple of seasons has not just been Bo Lowry, but I think his offseason training program. And one of the things, I don't know if every team does this. I don't know how many teams do this, but I know that Sean Payton, they say one of the training camp is hardest because for the first month, you don't touch a football. It's lifting weights and running. It's strength and endurance. That's it. And so that builds you up. That builds a different type of strength and a different type of endurance that is used later on in the 16-week season. But also it helps you get to this point. So right now, Talanoa Hufanga and Evan Ingram are 100% healthy. They're not limited. They're out there doing exactly what they passed their physicals. They're looking good. Dre Greenlaw, he's going to be back during training camp. And then the draft comes. Pick 20 comes. We were all there for the mega draft. We got Jahdae Barron and we got R.J. Harvey. And we got Pat Bryant in third. And so fast forward, we had the first week of OTAs. And as I was speaking to Johnny earlier, one of the things that you just kept hearing over and over and over and over again was how Bo Nix looked. And I told Johnny, I said, how good, not that I'm a skeptic, but how good can Bo Nix really good with helmet and shells or helmet and shirt and shoes? But everyone kept saying it. Everyone kept saying it. And the more I thought about it, the more I listened to different people. And it makes sense. The thing that stood out to me about Bo was one of the things that Sean Payton drafted him for was because his ability to pick up the playbook pretty quickly, his ability to regurgitate the playbook to him in such a short period of time. And as we know, Sean Payton's plays are long, they're complicated, they're lengthy, they come with different packages, different personnel. So the same play with different people with different names. So there's different things, and his ability as a rookie to pick that up. Yeah, as we see through the first 4 weeks of the season, the playbook seemed limited. Bo Nix was learning, and then he picked it up. And then when Marvin Mims was brought in, that was Sean Payton saying, okay, here's more food. Here, you're ready for this. You couldn't eat meat before, but now your teeth are grown, and you can chew, and you're not going to choke and hurt everybody else, including the team. And so that happened. And so now you're coming in a year two, and as we all know, this is the first time that Bo Nix has had the same offensive play caller since high school. So he's steadily progressed and improved without having continuity. That's impressive. That's very, very impressive. In a way, he's created his own stability for himself and improved throughout it without any continuity. So he goes from Auburn to a different play caller in Auburn to a different play caller in Oregon to a different in Oregon. He stayed at the same places for more than a year, but he did not have the same play caller for more than a year. So then he gets drafted to the Broncos and he gets Sean Payton as the play caller. We know that's not going to change. But it's not just that. Is he gets the exact same offensive line, the exact same receivers, one different running back, one different tight end. Those are important. And not only that, like he said, he gets Vance Joseph, the same defense, the same guy. So the whole 86% of the Broncos are all coming back. And we can count, I think, on two hands who left and came in. That's how small the turnover was. And if you looked at that chart that was posted by Jason at Over the Cap, the differentiation between those with low turnover and high turnover was stability. In playoffs, those that had low turnover can become stable teams. Those with high turnover weren't stable teams. Those teams that were picking high in the draft, teams that didn't make the playoffs. The Broncos were at the top of the chart, where 86% of the team was returning. And that's because, as we had to know, George Payton with salary strapped draft pick, you have to hit on your free agents, you have to hit on your draft picks, and you have to be strong in draft and develop. I think that only became matter because he said draft and develop. So you have the ownership saying draft and develop, the GM saying draft and develop, and Sean Payton who can draft and develop. And so now you get this supercharged team of drafting and developing to the point where the second worst roster in the league, projected by, once again, PFF, turns into a top 10 roster in the NFL, top 5 in the AFC. Because of drafting and developing, and they hit. And I believe we have five all pros on our team, maybe 5 or 6. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. What's your favorite Zelda game? I have never played a game of Zelda in my life, so I do not have a favorite Zelda. I hope that answers your question, Christian. Yes, so draft and develop, and we had 5 All-Pros, and that includes draft picks, and that includes free agents. So you had Brandon Jones, a free agent pickup. You had Zach Allen, a free agent pickup. Those were free agent All-Pros. You had Quinn Miners, who's All-Pro. Nick Benito, All-Pro, draft pick. Pat Surtain, All-Pro, draft pick. We actually had 6 All-Pros. Marvin Mims, All-Pro, draft pick. And so you see this balance of, out of the 6 All-Pros we had last season, 4 were drafted, 2 were free agents. That's a really, really good balance. And so then you draft Jahdae Barron, who has, I don't think he'll be All-Pro. He won't be All-Pro. He could be All-Rookie team for sure. Depending how much he plays, he could be Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think they're looking more toward edge rushers because it was a huge edge rush class. But I think with Jahdae Barron's maturity and the scheme fit and the system he's in, he could. It just all depends on snaps and how much he plays. But we know Vance Joseph doesn't like rookies, doesn't like playing rookies. He's very hesitant about that. So we'll see. But then you plug in these holes, you fill these guys, you draft and develop. And so now we get these new sets of draft picks, and then we get week 1 OTAs. And so these guys are coming to a team that's already been there. And there's a good and a bad thing about that. And it's bad in a different way. And so let me say the bad way first, so that way the good can make up for it. When I first joined the Army, when I first was stationed at Fort Campbell, my unit had just gotten back from Afghanistan. And so they were extremely, extremely, extremely close. And so you coming in, you're an outsider to this extremely close-knit who literally just went to war together. And so 86% of the team is returning where they just went to war together for the first time and they got to the playoffs. The good thing about that is that raises the threshold and the ability to get in. It's not that they won't let you in. It's that you have to work. There's such a high standard and threshold to enter in. So that means that RJ Harvey, Jahdae Barron, and Pat Bryant have to perform and exceed very high for Sean Payton and the team to say, okay, you're part of us, you're one of us, or to make the team. The same thing happened with Bo last season. Bo had to earn his keep. The job wasn't just given to him. He earned it, and he earned the position of captain as rookie. He earned it. But that's the culture that Sean Payton has set in, is that these new guys are coming in. They're knowing, okay, this is a playoff team. This is a Hall of Fame coach. Much is expected of me, especially if I was taken in the first 3 rounds, the premier rounds, especially. So there's high expectations for them. And so Bo being the leader of that group, all of them, of the offense and defense continuity is so much better. And I think I didn't understand how much that continuity is going to be for Bo. And to have the entire offensive line, your receiving core, just building that chemistry even more. And then you got these new guys who can just be easily grafted in. You're not turning over your offensive line. And that's the thing with Chicago, is Chicago, I think, will be a good team. And I think in 2 years, they're going to win the division. But right now, they redid their entire offensive line, which is good. And they added some weapons on offense, and they changed the offensive scheme. The good thing is they're all trying to learn together. Whereas the Knicks and the Broncos do not have that. They do not have that. Whereas the Washington Commanders, I think they were top 12 in bringing players back. But the players they brought in, the players they have, are all older players out the way. Marshawn Lattimore, Bobby Wagner, Deebo Samuel, Landry Tunsil, Zach Ertz. These are guys that are out the door and are older. So that turnover rate is going to be a little bit higher. But from Bo coming from multiple systems and then now having the same system where it's not just stability in the building, but it's stability out of the building. His family doesn't have to pick up and move. He's married. I don't know if does Bo have any children? I know he's married. So his family doesn't have to pick up and move. And he can stay in one place. So this offseason, he doesn't have, like he said, I don't have to learn a new system. All he has to do is just master what he already knows. So like he said, he didn't touch a football and he just went over mechanics. And looking at what the videos from OTAs, and I told Johnny this, guys, tell me if I'm wrong, but Bo's throwing motion looks a lot more mechanic, robotic, looks a lot more sharp. And so in addition to that, he said, I don't have to think about the offense anymore. Appreciate the thumbs up, guys. Hey, guys, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends and family. This is the Orange and Blue Blitz morning show. But back to Bo. He said, I don't have to think about the offense anymore. I don't have to think about what the guys do. I have to think about drop back and mirroring my steps with the route. And I found that interesting because Sean Payton, he learned the playbook quickly. We see his progression throughout the year to now, and no uncertain terms, basically said, I know the whole playbook. I don't have to think about it. To say I don't have to think about any play call as to what the guys are doing or my dropbacks. He said, I've eliminated that process. That's his words, not mine. He said he eliminated the process. And he said, I now have to focus only on the defense. That's year 2. That's dangerous. And I think the schedule I think there's some people saying 80 actually week 1 are very well for the Broncos. Is this real breaking news? Okay, so what did Johnny put as the thumbnail? No, it's just there's no breaking news. I guess this show's only for. I'm sorry if you guys thought this was huge breaking news. I'm sorry, I'm a disappointment. But sorry, Dave, Full Glassman, I'm a disappointment. Sorry. Um, no, love Dave. Um, but yes, going into only thinking about the defense, whereas you don't have to worry about the guys. You're building chemistry with him. He's been with Evan Ingram in the building since the beginning, and the only way Bo can know that is if Bo's been there as well. The only way you know Evan Ingram's been in the building since he got signed is if you're in the building since he got signed. So that tells you not only that camaraderie, that chemistry with Bo and his the wide receiver one, but now he's building that chemistry with his tight end, which everyone says can be more important than that wide receiver one, is that having that tight end. So he's building this chemistry. He knows the playbook. He knows his steps. And now he's just focusing on the defense. In the first couple of weeks last year, he faced hard defenses, and they were trying to learn where they're at. Even in the Colts game, he struggled a little bit. And now he's saying he understands that. I think week 1 and week 2 are good opportunities for him to showcase that before you get into the hard stuff, before you get into the nitty gritty. That's what I was excited to hear about last week, was about Bo. We also heard about RJ Harvey. I keep hearing the same thing. He's fast. He's quick. He's a blur out there. He really does look part. He's stocky. 5'8", 205, Quadzilla. Didn't hear much about Pat Bryant. Pat Bryant, I think after Pat Bryant, we're going to talk about Johnny Bear, and then we're going to go to week 2 expectations. Pat Bryant is going to have a tough time. Not because he's not good, but I think it's more like Sean Payton said, it's touches. And from what I heard from week 8 is Devon Vele. That's what everybody kept saying. Devon Vele. Cortland Sutton, Devon Vele. They said the 1-2 punch was Cortland Sutton and Devon Vele. It seems like I thought to myself, we were all talking about Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin's progression and Marvin Mims even taking that next step. Well, me personally kind of just assumed we saw the best of Devon Vele, or maybe he can't progress that much. But from what I'm hearing is it looks like he's taking an even more step. And I don't know what that looks like, so I'm curious to see what that looks like. But in relation to Pat Bryant, if Vele's come up and been that guy, and Sean Payton says that he thinks Troy Franklin is going to take a Marvin Mims step, where does that leave Pat Bryant? And so Pat Bryant's I'm really excited for these practices. For next week is mandatory minicamp, so we get media every day. We get videos every day. I can't wait for the joint practices. I can't wait for preseason. I'm really, really excited to see these guys. And I think we can go undefeated in the preseason because we have the depth. That's another story. But I think that's where it's going to be about touches. And don't be surprised if everybody stays healthy and our young guys, Mims, Franklin, Vele, take those steps that Sean Payton believes they can and will and have. Don't be surprised if Pat Bryant doesn't get that many touches, because the guy stepped up. And that's good. That's good. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. But closing on Johnny Barron. The more film I watched, I don't know where they're going to play him. You can play anywhere. With Talno Hufanga, who can play the dime backer, or he can come into and if you watch his film in San Francisco, I see why Sean Payton called him a first responder. That's an excellent moniker. What's up, Jay? Anytime there was a tackle, it was him and Dre Greenlaw together. They're roommates in the locker room. They're literally roommates on the field. Anytime you see them, they're almost together, always making a tackle. So when you bring Talno Hufanga down, you can put Jade at nickel, at the boundary. I don't think he'll take Riley Moss's spot, but Riley Moss's thing is health. Riley Moss hasn't had one healthy season since he's been drafted. He's been injured. He's coming up on his 3rd season, and he's been injured every year. So he's got to stay healthy. This is also a contract year for Jaquan. So, knock on wood, if Riley Moss gets injured, Jade steps up as the boundary guy, takes that, and then Jaquan stays at the slot. Well, then do you give Jaquan a contract? Or do you wait to see if Riley Moss is healthy again for his fourth season? So just things like that. But I think Jade has the potential to be the Chris Harris Jr. Do you know what I mean? I was going to say a Pat Surtain in the slot, but I'm not going to go that far because I don't think Jade has the press ability and technique and game like Pat Surtain does have in press, like some nickels play. I think he can. I know he's better in zone. I know he's better in off-ball man. But I think he has the potential to be an elite slot. And that's why I said earlier, maybe even dark horse for Defensive Rookie of the Year, because I think he's the type, and he's so confident and so smart and savvy. That's what Pat Surtain said. He's savvy. And savvy is just the ability to manipulate situations for a favorable outcome. How you're able to manipulate situations for a favorable outcome. And if you watch the film, and they talk about how he blades his body, but he doesn't look at the receiver. He watches, and what he does is, and I think I saw it in the film before I read it, he watches the quarterback's steps. So when I was talking about Bo Nix earlier, when he doesn't have to think about his drop back, the number one issue that Caleb Williams had in the beginning of his season before Matt Efer, whatever the heck the guy's name was, Eberflus was fired, was the routes that they gave Caleb Williams didn't match up with his drop back. So if the route was a 12 to 15 yard dig that required 3 steps and a hitch, Caleb Williams was taking 5 steps. And so by the time he was done with his drop back, the route was covered. It was already developed. That was a mistake. That would be a mess up. Bo doesn't have to worry about that. What Jade does is he watches the quarterback's drop back. So the quarterback takes 3 steps and a hitch from his football. He understands that the route in front of me is a 3-step drop, a hitch. So if I'm playing 10 yards off, the route is 7-yard post, and I can see the quarterback take a 3-step and hitch, I know that it can't be a 5-yard step. It can't be anything deeper than that. So that means that I can play and react based off of that information alone. That's extremely impressive and extremely savvy. And you have to know how a quarterback thinks and plays in order to do that. Now, I'm wondering if that's going to translate to the NFL. I think that's going to be a little bit better at nickel than it will be in the boundary, because I don't think you can get away with that as much in the NFL. But I think that's where he comes in the nickel. But just him, if Riley Moss is healthy, Jade Barron, him and Jaquan McMillan are going to be fighting for that position. You know, competition is good. Riley Moss. And then you have Brandon Jones. And I've said this a bunch of times. I did not know Brandon Jones was a free safety. I thought he was a strong safety. And that's just I guess that's my lack of ball knowledge. But from watching him play last year, I thought he was a strong safety. He led the team in tackles. I thought he was a strong safety with ball hawking ability. I was like, man, he's got a lot of interceptions for a strong safety. He's a pretty good strong safety. He's always at the front. He's always at the line making all the tackles. I was like, man, that's a good strong safety. And then when we got Talanoa Hufanga, I was like, well, that's a strong safety. And they're like, yeah, Brandon Jones, he now can do what he does best, and that's he's a free safety. So it turns out Brandon Jones is a free safety who's an elite tackler. That changes everything. And so with Brandon Jones, Talanoa Hufanga, which is an extremely, really, really good safety room, and Brandon Jones is going to come up for a contract, and I think he deserves it. He was second-team All-Pro this year. I think he absolutely deserves it. Another steal in free agency. And then you get down to the linebacker core, where it comes health is called to it again. Dre Greenlaw, Alex Singleton. Can they be healthy? Alex Singleton's out there, but I think it's a blessing in disguise because we get to see Drew Sanders, Justin Sternad, Lavelle Bailey, and those linebackers actually step up. Does Drew Sanders know enough of the playbook and inside linebacker to get in there and make and produce? does Justice Serna take even another step because he started most of the year last year? He knows the playbook. Heck, can he take another step? Can Justice Serna be the dark horse linebacker outside Dre Greenlaw? Does that end up being Justice? Does it end up being a draft pick? If I'm correct, guys, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I think that's a Sternard. Is Sternard a Peyton draft pick or is that an Elway draft pick? But is that another draft pick that ends up developing later on and ends up being a starter? Jay says, do you think CAD will actually get a chance with the arrival of Barron? That's one of the things I've heard about a lot, and that's one of the things that makes me sad. Is that I love CAD. He's so good. And the times that he's played, he's extremely, extremely productive, and he's extremely talented. I just don't know where he's going to get a lot of special teams play. Maybe he'll get some packages here and there. He's cornerback 5. He's like cornerback 2 or 3 on anybody else on the team. He's cornerback 5 on ours. I think he may be a trade candidate in the preseason just because that's how good he is. And maybe even your boy Damari Mathis. I think Damari Mathis would be a trade candidate before CAD because CAD's younger. He's not in a contract year, and he's better than Damari Mathis. So if I with Jaquan there, so if you have a dime package, let's say you put Tano Hufunga and Jade, you can do that in the dime package and put Brandon Jones back at free safety, or you can do Jaquan and Jade, or you can do Jaquan and Talanoa. You can put Brandon Jones there. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can put Riley Moss on the inside, Patrick Hand on the inside. I just don't see where CAD comes in because with Jade Barron being drafted, and that's not CAD's fault because, and it's really not because here's the thing. What they said is that they said when Riley Moss went down, we had injuries. That when they went down, CAD did excellent. He did a great job with Jerry Jeudy, and he picked off Justin Herbert on in my opinion, was the most beautiful interception. No, Patrick Hen's pick 6 was the second best beautiful interception of the season because it was great coverage. Justin Herbert threw that with confidence, and it was beautiful. But at the same time, at pick 20, Johnny Barron's right there. Right there. Yeah, I get it. Maybe Jaquan is Jaquan a trade candidate? Maybe Jaquan is a trade candidate because CAD is there. Maybe they say, hey, we're not going to pay you. So, we're going to send you somewhere where you can start because he can easily be a starting nickel on anybody else's team. Maybe you send him to San Francisco. And maybe you send him to San Francisco. Maybe you send him to Chicago, get a 5th round pick. He's undrafted. You get a 5th back. And I'm pretty sure you get a compensatory pick as well. You get a compensatory pick if he pays out his full contract, I believe. But I don't know. Maybe Jaquan's in order to get CAD in there, Jaquan is a trade candidate. Tell me what you guys think about that, chat. Would you trade Jaquan to get a younger CAD? Do you think Chris Abrams-Drain is ready to step up? Because if you're going to trade away Jaquan, what you're saying is I trust a second-year Chris Abrams-Drain and a rookie Jade. That's what you're saying. Or the alternative is you keep all of them this year, you let Jaquan walk next year, and then in Chris Abrams-Drain's 3rd year, he is the dime backer. He'll be the dime. So then you'll have Jade in his 2nd year, Chris Abrams-Drain in his 3rd. You're bringing Brandon Jones back for sure, 100%. Not a problem about that. So you have 4 guys who can play the dime. 3 of them can play the nickel and the dime. So you're doing pretty good there. And that's what you want. You want the versatility to move around wherever you want. You don't want the defense to know. Because like we knew against Cincinnati, like we saw against Cleveland, this is why I think Jade will start is because what they would try. They would hide their receiver in the slot. And you couldn't always follow Patrick in the slot, and Sean Payton would get mad at Van Joseph for not adjusting. So now you draft someone to take that away. I don't think you draft someone to take that away to start Jaquan. Excuse me. We play Cincinnati week 5, 6. So it's Titans, Colts, Chargers, Bengals week 4, and then Eagles. Yeah, so we play the Bengals week 4. Week 4 or 5, one of those two. You don't draft Jade to start McMillan against the Bengals again. Or you don't draft Jade to start Riley Moss against the Bengals again. But I think, if I'm being 100% honest, Riley Moss is the better cornerback at man coverage on the boundary. And I think T. Higgins over Jade is a bigger mismatch than T. Higgins over Riley Moss. Fernando says, trade McMillan. Why let him walk for nothing? Yeah, the only question comes down to that is this is his last year. Do you trade him? If you trade him this year, who's taking his spot in the dime? So the question is, are you trusting the young guys over McMillan? If you trust the young guys over McMillan, trade him. Get it. You can definitely get a fifth back. You can for sure get a fifth back for McMillan. On a contract year, you can 100% get a fifth back from McMillan, 100%. If you don't trust the young guys, then you for sure keep him, and he's going to walk for nothing. But he's not going to walk for nothing. You're going to get one more year out of him. And he got to play in the playoffs. He was undrafted, picked up by the Broncos. So the only question is, if you trust the young guys, trade him away. If you don't trust the young guys, you keep him. But Chris Abrams started off slow last year, but he really picked up strong. This year, he's coming in confident. I wouldn't be surprised if Jaquan McMillan is battling Chris Abrams' drain, not Jahdae Barron. What do you guys think about that? I think the competition may be between Chris Abrams' drain and Jaquan, and not Jaquan and Jahdae Barron. Shy Vargas in the house. Salute. What's up, Shy? All right, guys. We beat the crap out of that dead horse. So now we are going to move to this week. It is the second day of week 2 of OTAs. It was yesterday where we had no information. And now we're on today where we will have no information. And then tomorrow, we will have information. We will have videos. We will have press conference. We will be overloaded. And I've heard some conversations about whether they like it or not. I'm wondering if the Saints were like that all the time, where it was just only once a week, or it was media available all the time. If not, I'm wondering, is this Sean Payton's way of doing this just until the Broncos are more respectable again, and then we're more open? But I've said some people say they hate it because now we're all watching the Cleveland Browns and Jacksonville Jaguars. So well done to Deion Sanders for making sure he marketed very, very well with Shedeur and Travis Hunter, because both them and their respective teams are doing great marketing. They're even doing better than Ashton Jeanty and the Raiders. So well done to them, because that's what we're all watching. But do you guys like the OTAs? Because I do know that on Thursday, like last week, it was a dopamine hit for everybody. The whole timeline for Broncos Country was just flooded. We had everything we wanted all at once, and then we kind of squeezed beat the dead horse out of that for a week until tomorrow. But fortunately, mandatory minicamp comes next week, and they have to have media availability, so we get as much as we could possibly want. So I guess it's here or there. Shai said, what do you think about Bo Nix for his second year? I think Bo Nix, I think his ceiling is like, I think Bo Nix can put up Drew Brees numbers. Maybe not like 5,000 yards because defenses have adjusted. But I think when it comes to efficiency, completion percentage, the ability to put up 300-yard games, multiple touchdown games like that on a consistent basis, I think Bo Nix has that. I think we're going to see stretches of that where he is just on fire and he's the hottest quarterback in the league. I think that Bo Nix has that potential because he has the brains of Drew Brees, but he's way more athletic. Way more athletic. And he's just getting better. So I think so. Week 2, what are we expecting this week? I expect to see a little bit more Pat Bryant news. I want to hear a little more about Pat Bryant and his progression because he's a polished route technician. Great hands. I expect to hear more about Pat Bryant this week. There's not much to expect because we heard a lot about Bo. We heard about Pat. Actually, here, no, I want to hear more about the defense. Pat Surtain's back at OTAs this week, so I want to hear about Pat Surtain and Jade on the field together because that's what everybody wants to hear about. I want to hear about Pat Surtain and Jade. How are they using them? Well, they're not going to tell us how they're using them, where they're going to line up. I want to know how much better is that defense. Now you got Talanoa Hufanga there, and Pat Surtain's back, and now you got Jade. The only one's missing is Drake Greenlaw. How is this defense starting to mold and glue together? That's what I want to hear. That's what I'm expecting. I'm definitely expecting to hear that. So I want to hear more about Pat Bryant, Jade, and I definitely want to hear about how Alex Singleton is coming along. How there is he practicing? Is he on Sunday? Is he doing drills? Because that's where that inside linebacker is going to come in and play. One thing that I don't think we're going to find out until pads come on, but I want to know Luke Wattenberg's snaps. That's just something that's on my mind. Luke Wattenberg had a lot of bad. Most of Luke Wattenberg's snaps were awful. But he was one of the best pass protecting centers in the NFL. Top 3 pass protecting offensive centers. Top 3 center pass protecting centers in the NFL. So can he get those snaps better? And this is his second year starting, not his first. I think this is his third year in the system, second year starting. So he knows the system. He's now the starter. Is his run game gotten better? Has his run game gotten better? D-Rod, yes. It is the Orange and Blue Blitz morning show. It is I, the Fly, in the flesh. Welcome back. Yes. Has Luke Wattenberg's run blocking gotten better? We were the number 1 pass run blocking win rate offensive line, but can we take that next step? Can we get to the Detroit, Philadelphia conversations in the run game? That's where we need to be. That's definitely for sure where we need to be. A couple of the undrafted guys I'm looking for. One that really, really, really interests me out of all the undrafted. Well, the other undrafted guy is from Utah State or something like that. He's like 6'4". He runs a 4.3. He has like a 44-inch vertical. Insane athletics. But Clay Webb, this center/guard. Does Luke Wattenberg? Can Luke Wattenberg earn a contract? And if Luke Wattenberg does earn a contract, is Clay Webb Ben Powers' replacement? Clay Webb has been a top recruit all his life, high school, college. Got into some trouble in college. And I know the organization spoke with him. They sat down with him. He was very honest, very upfront about it. And they decided that was good enough. And they brought him in as undrafted. So they didn't spend – he was one of the top I think he started some games as a true freshman at was it Georgia? So he was that guy. And then he transferred to Jacksonville State, where he was a 3-time All-American, whatever it was that they call him down there in that conference. And so we get a guy with no draft capital. Is he Ben Powers' replacement at left guard? That's something that's been on my mind a lot. Ben Powers has been decent. Nothing to write home about. Actually, I think he was the weakest link on the offensive line. As we know, Quinn Miners is a first-team All-Pro, arguably the best guard in the NFL. Garrett Bowles should have been second-team All-Pro, in my opinion, a top 10 left tackle. Mike McGlinchey had one of the best seasons of his career last year, especially beginning. He was excellent last year. And I think he's even going to have I think Mike McGlinchey might be one of the best right tackles coming up in the NFL this year. Luke Wattenberg, as we discussed, and then there's Ben Powers. So that might be the weak link. So especially with paying the offensive line, if Luke Wattenberg earns a contract, Do you supplement his contract with Ben Powers? You let Ben Powers go. Luke Waltenberg gets paid, but then you bring in an undrafted guy who's on the cheapest deal. He's learning the system this year. He doesn't have to start this year, but he can come in and take Ben Powers. So will it end up being Garrett Bowles, Clay Webb, Luke Waltenberg, Quinn Miners, and Mike McGlinchey? So I like the offensive line depth. Yeah, we have a solid, and that's why I think we're going to kick butt in the preseason, because you have our starters and then you have the backups. Alex Forsythe, he started. He knows the system. You've got Clay Webb. You've got Matt Parrott. And then you've got Palchevsky. All have played. All have started. Good offensive line depth. Good offensive line depth. And then we have, what's his name? Nick Gargulio, who can also play center. And I think he can play guard as well. So we've got good backups all across the board. And then on the defensive line as well, we have this continuity where we brought everybody back across the defensive line. Everybody back. The question is Nick Bonito going to get paid? I have been on the in-season extension pay, but if they pay $20 million before our salary cap goes up next year and we get him at a cheap price at $20 million, let's say he produces 15 to 17 sacks, that's like getting Pat Surtain at $24 million before he gets DPOY. If we didn't pay Pat Surtain last year, we'd have to pay Pat Surtain $30 million this year. And I'm cool. Pay him. If that's what he wants, pay him. If Pat Surtain was like, I'm holding out, I want Defensive Player of the Year, I'm holding out, I want $6 million extra, I will not play a single snap until you give me more money, I'd say pay him. I don't care. But we paid him $24 million before he got DPOY. If we pay Nick Bonito $20 million, and then he puts 15 to 17 sacks, and this is the reason why, is when I sat there and I thought about it, Nick Bonito in year 3 was a Defensive Player of the Year contender. That's number one. He had 2 pick sixes last year, and he finished with 13.5 sacks. And last year, he did not start. Bannon Browning did. So this would be his first year of him actually starting from beginning to end. I like the in-season. If it goes up $5 million to $25 million in-season extension, I'm okay with that because the salary cap goes up. If we pay him $20 million now, and we keep the whole defensive line and we pay Zach Allen, if we can get Jonathan Franklin Myers in there and keep the whole defensive line, then I'm game. But the continuity on both sides in the trenches is excellent. And he says, I think Xavier Truss will make the 53 and be very solid offensive line depth in the long run. Yes, he's raw. But there's so much tackle. I think he will make the I think he'll be on the practice. No, he played for Georgia. I don't know can you sneak him on the practice squad? Because, I mean, special teams, sure, but we didn't lose anyone. We brought everyone back. So if you have Matt Parrott, who's going to be on the 53 and is the swing tackle and does play, and you're also going to bring Alex Palchevsky to back up McGlinchey, those are 2 tackles already there. I don't know if he'll make the – that's going to be interesting. I think he'll make the practice squad. I think if he goes to the practice squad. But it's going to be hard for him, similar to the wide receiver room or the DB room. It's going to be hard because you have guys like Paucho who played 2 games and did well. He did well. And then you got Matt Parrott who's done considerably well. These guys who are back up, and then you got McGlinchey and Bowles on contracts. It's going to be hard to get in there and to get playing time. But like D-Rock says, we do have good backup depth. We do. We 100% do. We 100% do. Guys, that is about to conclude the first Orange and Blue Blitz morning show. And I think it was an excellent show. I love y'all. I'm glad to be back. Guys, you guys know the drill. If you are here from the Orange and Blue Network, go head over to MHRT. Like their videos, subscribe to their channel, and comment on their videos and be a participant in their network and their shows as well. Follow them on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. And if you're here from MHRT, come on over to the Orange and Blue Network, subscribe to our channel, share the video, follow us on Facebook, and comment as well. We love you guys in the community, and we're here to network with all of us and just build one big Broncos country. So, guys, thank you guys for liking this video. As always, being in the comments. D-Rock real quick says, inside linebacker depth does worry me. I went over that earlier. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't think the depth bothers me. I think the starting lineup bothers me. Because I think Drew Sanders is year 2 healthy. Justin Sinat is healthy, and he has experience. And we also get to see LaVelle Bailey. I think we've got decent inside linebacker depth. If Drew Sanders has to play, I'm to the point where I'm like, if Drew Sanders has to play, throw him in there. Let's see what we have. I don't care. But we don't even know what we got. If Justin Sternard has to play, we've just seen he can hold it down. He's probably even better than he was last year, so be it. I'm more worried about Singleton and Greenlaw being healthy. Bo Lowry's Bo Lowry, but look, if Greenlaw's got a quad already, and it's got him out. Now, the question is, does it take all of offseason to recover? Or are we just saying, hey, we're going to, be on the safe side, but going to wait till pads to then come back, and so he's not doing any what type of conditioning. So, learning new system, I trust them. I'm going to trust them. But the inside linebacker starters worry me less than the depth worries me. But guys, mile high salute to you guys. We will see you guys. I don't even know when our next show is. But I think we have shows like almost every day. What's today? Wednesday. Do we have a show on Wednesdays? Guys, this is why you hit the notification bell, because if we have shows on Wednesdays, notifications will pop up. So if I don't even know our show schedule, we also have to get a graphic for our show schedule so we can pull that up for you guys. Johnny, need you to work on a graphic so we can get a schedule so we can pull it up. But that's also why you hit the notification bell. So when Orange and Blue Blitz morning show pops up, anytime between 10 and noon, notification bell pops up. You're right there watching. And we have one of our Spanish shows. If you're a Spanish speaker or you just want to learn Spanish, you have the notification bell for when our Spanish show pops up. That's why you hit the notification button. But we here at the Orange and Blue Crew love you guys, and we will see you again, if not this evening, tomorrow morning for another episode of the Orange and Blue Blitz morning show. We love you. Mile high salute. Let's get to week 2 of OTAs, baby.